Hello, this is Patrick White from AA Commodities and Investments of Spencer, Iowa, with your Thursday, September 12th market recap video. As you can see here, we had a pretty positive day in the markets. Corn was up 7.25 cents. The D's contract closed at 3.70 November soybeans were up 29 cents even to close at 8.95 and D Chicago wheat was up 6.25 cents at 4.83 I'm going to go ahead and get it started off with a disclaimer. Just remember that everything I'm talking about here is just my opinion and that there's no direct trade recommendations. If you'd like to read the full disclaimer, please pause the video now. So as you can see here, we had much higher prices on the day. It was coupled between the USDA report and the news out of China here today. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off with that. The Chinese ended up buying 600,000 tons of soybeans this morning. That equates to about 21 to 22 million bushels. So it's a pretty solid sale there for the Chinese. And the Chinese and the U.S. are gearing up for trade talks here coming up in October. The U.S. is delaying tariffs that were supposed to go on October 1st out to October 15th, and the U.S. is delaying that in light of the trade talks scheduled for October and a Chinese holiday. In addition, Trump says that there's massive agricultural purchases ahead here to build goodwill before the talks. So certainly we're not out of the woods yet in regard to the trade war. But with that being said, this is certainly a very positive development. So going on into the WASDE, obviously we had that at 11 o'clock here. This is your guys' updated corn and soybean balance sheet. Obviously, planted and harvested acres stayed the same here for both corn and soybeans. We had a cut in yield down to 168.2 versus 169.5 seen last month, and we had carry-in increased about 85 million bushels due to lower exports and lower ethanol usage for the 18-19 year. Not a huge shocker there, I guess, to most. And, going forward here in 1920, we had feed cut by 25 million bushels, and we also had ethanol cut by 25 million bushels. So even though we had the cut in yield, the cuts in demand there sort of muted that response to the cut in supply there. So with that being said, we ended up with a 2.182 billion bushel carryout, and that was versus the 2.181 last month. When this came out, it initially sold off the market, but it obviously recovered here today. I'm going to close up 7.25. On the soybean side of things, like I said before, acres were the same. Yield was down to 47.9, and that was down from 48.5 here last month. We had carry-in down 55 million bushels, and that's the only thing that they changed here. So, carry-in was 65 million bushels lower just due to the higher 2018-19 exports and crush. So between those two, they cut 65 million bushels there. And if you look at that, ending stocks keeps getting lower. We're now down to 644.6, and that's a stocks-to-use ratio of 16.05%, and that's about half of where a lot of people thought it would be. So certainly, the ending stocks figure is not bullish for soybeans still, but this is a lot better than what it's been. So. All right, so going on into the charts here, we had the corn market testing lower here after the WASDE went down and tested the 353.25 level and bounced from there. Got above this 365, 366 area. That's where I was looking for sellers to come in. So now that we've got above that area, I think that we've gone low enough for now. Certainly, this is very bullish price action with the test lower and the rejection of the lows and the close near the high. So I think, we're going to continue to rally here probably into 374 to 381. I think retracements will be kept down around like the 360 region or so. I think we're going to continue on this little bit of a sideways to higher action just based on the WASDE report figures here today in this bullish price action. So it looks like we've gone low enough for now. We did keep this low that we made on September 9th intact there. So and if you're long in here, you want to be buying on smaller retracements and you don't want to see a close below this 351. That would suggest a run down to 342. If you're bullish and it gets up to 374, if we break that, we're headed to 381. My ultimate target, again, is 393, and that would close in that gap there. We'll see how long it takes them to do that. Going on into soybeans here, we were up 29 cents on the day, probably the biggest day we've had this year. Soybeans were really driven higher by the positive developments for trade. Obviously, traders believe that there's going to be better soybean exports in the future, and that we might get some of this Chinese market share back. But with that being said, we rallied right to this resistance area of 892 to 896, 897. That's where we stopped there today. We've seen resistance there. Haven't really seen selling there yet, but we've seen resistance there so far. That's where they've stopped. If we can break above this $8.95 to $9 region, we're probably headed on up to this 920 area, then on up to like 932, and then on up to 942. So those are kind of my levels that I'm looking at. If we do have a retracement lower, I think it should probably be supported between 875 and 880. That's really where we've seen the battle, well, for a long time, between this 870 and 880. That's where we've seen the sellers. So now that we're back above that level, we should see renewed buying between 875 and 880. So another thing too with the cotton market, kind of look at this, looks like the same price action as soybeans. Obviously, a huge improvement for cotton there. We broke out of the sideways trading range. We broke out of this $60 mark. I think retracements will probably be held into the $61 to $60 mark area. And look at that, where we've rallied to, right up to the 62, almost to 62.50. So the high for the day was 62.36. My interim target would be the 62, 62.50 to 62.75 area. So nice breakout in cotton there. Wheat kind of did the same thing as corn. It tested lower and then ended up reversing to close higher here on the day. If we can hold the 480 or so level, I think we can continue to rally up to the 495 to 498 region. That would be my next area of resistance. But certainly, some pretty positive price action here on the day, rejecting the new lows versus yesterday and closing at new highs for the move. Going on into the livestock market here, had a two-sided trading day. Don't sell a whole lot of beef to China, so really didn't have a whole lot of a story there. But with that being said, though, we did go down and test the $97.80 to $98 mark and closed off it there. So it looks like there's some pretty good buyers down there, and that corresponds with this old channel. So it looks like we're back into our old channel between 98 and 101. October hogs, we got a limit higher close here today. Will be extended limits tomorrow. Went down and tested this $60 mark early in the week, and then obviously we gapped back above this $62 mark on the day here, and we went down and tested that. The low for the day was 62.20. So those are two very important levels that we've been watching. The $62 level is important, as well as the $60 psychological mark. We've seen kind of gapping action around there. And if you'll notice, they did gap the same area that they did here on August 22nd to August 23rd. So there's definitely something funky in there at that $61.50 to $62 mark. With extended limits tomorrow, obviously we could go all the way up to, I believe it's, if we closed at 63.17, we can probably close at 67 tomorrow, and that would put us right back up to this old high there. I think we're probably going to see some resistance up there at the 67 to 66.80 mark, and then really at 68.70 as well. And that's just really the top end of the range. I'm looking for a breakout of this area. If we can do that, I think we're headed back up to the 70s. So that's all I got here today. Obviously, it was a little bit longer here due to the WASDE. But if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call at 712-262-7606, or you can go ahead and check out my website at aa-commodities.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.